In this video, I take you through a tour of my dream setup. It may not be the best out there, and it definitely has some flaws, but I really made it my own, and I'm proud of it. Okay, let's go. After saving up for years and working a full-time job, I was finally able to afford building the setup of my dreams back in December of 2020, and boy, has it been a crazy, wild ride for me in this setup ever since, with so many memories created over the last year, which also gave me lots of experience in real-world testing for the setup. So I decided that in this video, not only will I give you all a tour of my setup, but a review on everything I bought as well. Everything will be linked below in the PDF file with affiliate links, so if you want to support me as well as get all the links conveniently in one spot, make sure to check it out. Now for the setup. First, starting with the Alex drawers, a vital part of my desk. In short, I quite recommend them. They are a useful way to cheaply put together a good looking setup, if I do say so myself. And they do have quite a bit of storage room in the drawers, which has really come in handy. Next is the tabletop for the desk, the IKEA Linman tabletop. I must say, if you are going to have a terrible weight displacement on your desk, like me and my monitor stand, I do not recommend it. I would recommend you go with an IKEA countertop or something along those lines. Although the Linman was a great price, the lack of quality definitely shows through. The desk started to droop under the weight, which if you have all your equipment there, can be quite concerning. So I needed to find a solution. The solution I came up with was a pole that, in fact, did an excellent job of fixing this. Now onto the chair I purchased. It's pretty decent. However, there's been a few times where the locking mechanism for the back position has sometimes come out of place. With that being said, the mesh of the chair is excellent for not overheating, especially compared to my last one. The chair set me back about 200 Canadian, and I wasn't willing to shell out the cash for Herman Miller. So if you're not willing to pay $1,000 for a chair, this is definitely a great alternative. Now onto the computer, also known as Matt's masterpiece. First off, the CPU is a Ryzen 9 3900X. It's been a very solid CPU so far. The core and thread count has been really nice to use, and the potential for overclocking as well as upgrades in the future is definitely there. Cooling the CPU is the Ryzen Wraith CPU cooler. I wasn't sure if it was going to be enough when I decided to install it, but so far it has performed quite well. The motherboard in the build is an MSI Tomahawk with a Ryzen chipset. It was hands down the best bang for your buck motherboard for the chipset. I highly recommend it. Next is the graphics card, the Asus RTX 2070 Mini. I chose the Mini originally so that the card could fit in my old PC. Bit of a mistake there, but oh well. Although the fans can be quite loud while booting sometimes, the card can really hold its own and does not seem so mini to me. Granted, I'm coming from a 1050 Ti with one fan, so I might not be the best person to judge that. It performs well in almost every title you throw at it. Only the occasional very hard to run titles will make you fine-tune your settings a little. Anyways, in terms of RAM, I have an XPG RGB 16GB kit, as well as a kit from my previous computer. Regarding the XPG RAM, it's nice. The RGB on it is lovely and the speed is there. I can also confirm that I've ordered another 16GB pair to go along with it. For the power supply, I got a Corsair 650 watt. It's good, reliable, quiet. No issues, but I wish I got a slightly higher wattage so I would have an easier upgrade path if I were to get a more power-hungry graphics card. The storage I have is definitely confusing, but works fairly well. I have 3 Kingston SSDs, one 120GB and 2 240GB SSDs. Somehow through the upgrading process I got there. Along with that, for my boot drive, I use an M.2 Sabrent SSD, which is an absolute game changer and I couldn't recommend it enough. I still use the old reliable Western Digital Blue 1TB hard drive, which honestly I just use to store footage, but it is more than capable to do that. Lastly, for the PC is the case. First off, it's gorgeous, I love the look of it, and actually surprisingly it's not too hard to keep clean. Now moving on from the PC is the Logitech Z200 speakers. They are decent for the $25 I paid for them. I would never do intricate edits with them, but for light editing, watching content, or listening to music, they are pretty decent, and I think look quite good on my setup as well. Moving on from that is my plants. I must say, pretty killer. They're nice. Fake, of course. The green adds a nice touch to the setup and sort of balances out the tech on my desk. Next, the wireless charger. It's great, works well, delivers a decent amount of power, and serves a great spot to not only put, but prop up my phone as well. Right beside that is my MX Master Mouse. First off, it has been one of the greatest mice to edit on. However, a lot of the time when I am at my desk, I forget that it's there. For my microphone, I use Apply PDMI USB 50. Microphone? It's the microphone I'm recording this voiceover on as well. I bought it 3 years ago and it's still holding strong, and a couple of presets on the mic, it sounds quite good. Okay, now for my good old trusty boom arm. I bought this cheap boom arm from Amazon 6 years ago now. Holy crap, time flies. And apart from it making some slight noise when moved occasionally, it's a decent enough mic arm. Its range of motion isn't great, but thankfully the way the setup is laid out, I don't need that. Now onto my epic RGB gaming mouse. I went with a glorious Model O. I love it for gaming, especially for the price and the quality. Next is the keyboard, which is the Ducky 1-2 Mini. It is so satisfying to type on and a great gaming keyboard. I went with red switches, which are hands down my favorite switch to type on. However, one drawback for me is not having arrow keys, which are really useful for editing. Now I just have adjusted to using function keys like I, J, K, and L, but it still isn't as intuitive as just having the keys being there. For headphones, I bought the Beyerdynamic DT770 Pro Black Edition. They are super comfortable, have an excellent professional level soundstage, and solid build quality, which was exactly what I was looking for. I also got a wrist rest. It's pretty cool, nice to use when typing, and helps with wrist pain. Below that is my mouse pad. It's big, it was reasonably priced. I prefer no branding, but it's so minimal that I rarely even notice it. Next is my camera, the Lumix G7, which is hands down one of my best purchases to date. I use it for all my YouTube videos, as well as a webcam. It is an excellent camera that is very reasonably priced and versatile. It can be used in a more professional setting with a quality lens, or throw the kit lens on it to use it for a webcam configuration. Additionally, for the camera, I purchased a plug-in Lumix battery. I also purchased a mini HDMI cord that plugs into my capture card, which was a great purchase, especially for the price. It was 20 bucks and keeps the camera quality when sent to the computer, so turning my camera I already owned into a webcam only cost me 40 bucks, and its quality beats out every webcam out there, in my opinion, of course. Okay, moving on to the two upgrades I made that definitely were the most worth it for the setup, my two monitors. The first one is the LG 27GN750-B. I know monitor names kind of suck, but essentially it's a super fast 240Hz, 27-inch, 1 millisecond IPS panel. This was a game changer for me with gaming. For the LG, I had only played on a 60Hz, 5 millisecond response time monitor. My other monitor I bought is a BenQ PD2700U 27-inch 4K monitor. I bought it for its color accuracy, quality of the panel, as well as it being 4K. It's also a game changer when it comes to editing. Next is my massive water bottle. It's huge and holds a ton of water, which is nice so I don't have to go downstairs and fill it up all the time. Next on the list is the gumball machine / tripod / camera holder configuration. I chose to do this because it was a perfect height for my camera mount. Not only that, but it is also a fully functional gumball machine, which I thought was not only unique, but looked good as well. I also happen to have an insanely big sweet tooth. Next is the lights. I stole it from my brother's room and I couldn't be happier with it. I can use it in a way that adds the right lighting for me by bouncing the light off the wall, as well as the LEDs for lighting. They really allow me to add more of an atmosphere to the room. Lastly is the cable holders, which really come in handy. Even though my cable management isn't perfect in the slightest, it still is a great help, especially when it comes to holding up the power banks. Alrighty, well, that's the setup tour. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, as well as make sure to check out my Twitch where you can see this very setup live. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, that's it. Thank you guys.